Welcome back. Thank you so much for having joined us. We continue with the show and we take a look at what's happening in Pali. Well, last week, Parliament adopted new rules of decorum. Now, these new rules provide for the physical removal of MPs who refuse to leave the chamber when ordered to do so by a presiding officer. The Economic Freedom Fighters is the only party that opposed these new rules. Joining us from our Parliament studios is Stone Sizani. He is the ANC Chief Whip in Parliament. And I know what you're thinking. Why invite ANC when it was the EFF that refused to adhere to or to receive these new changes? Now, we had invited Mr. Floyd Shivambu from the Economic Freedom Fighters, the Chief Whip thereof. He is unfortunately not with us this morning. He was supposed to have joined us in Polokwane. We do know that the party had a night vigil for EFF Commander-in-Chief, Mr. Julius Malema, so perhaps it had to do with that. I don't want to preempt his absence, but just to note that he had been invited to the show. Mr. Sizani, then it's a very good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Morning, Ayanda.
Is this a victory for Parliament and its processes, these new rules?
Well, Ayanda, there's no victory, there's no losers or anything. The fact of the matter is that Parliament is supposed to represent society. South Africans are looking unto Parliament to represent their views, to make sure that we improve their conditions in life. And unfortunately, if there are people bent on disrupting Parliament and diverting the attention of the public from the real things that happen to concern them, Parliament must act, and that is in the spirit in which we regulated the behavior of members in the House.
Perhaps I should have also asked whether or not this is a victory for the ANC in Parliament. People are saying that this was a move to try and quash the EFF and make sure that they're subdued enough to not be able to ask pertinent questions.
No. In fact, the ANC is able to deal with the 25 members of the EFF. We don't need to have to quash them. And sometimes you would like to hear very robust questions posed against the executive, because that is the place where the executive has to answer questions. Us ourselves are meant to ask difficult questions from the executive. There's absolutely no reason why we want to quash anybody else from raising those questions. But, however, it is necessary for us to ask those questions in a respectful way. It is a decent place. It has to be in a way that will allow citizens to respect each other and the children to learn how adults behave towards each other. And that is why it is important to regulate the behavior of all of us as members of the House.
Let's take a look at these regulations. Now, all parties represented in the National Assembly, save for the EFF, as I said in my intro, have accepted these rules. What exactly are these new rules? The rule says that, well, among all other rules in the House, the particular amended rules are about the presiding officer being able to control who speaks, who is allowed to interject, how the interjection should take place, and the presiding officer being able to stop a member from interrupting other members speaking, and being able to evict a member who refuses to be controlled by the presiding officer. And how that control must take place is also regulated, and how the removal of a member is also regulated. Remember, I said these are honorable members who are expected to behave in an honorable way, and the Speaker, therefore, or the presiding officer has to make sure that it is a decent way of managing how people can behave towards each other. It also, or these rules also, if I'm not mistaken, please do correct me, entail or include the presence of SAPS officials when a member refuses to be escorted out by the necessary security in Parliament?
Well, the security
services which are defined in the Constitution are the police, the intelligence, and the army, and so on. And the protection services of Parliament are those that are the employees of the Parliament, who may be seconded or contracted by the Speaker to protect and regulate the way we behave towards each other without harming each other. The only time when the police would be invited to come into the House, or they themselves can take the initiative of coming into the House, is when we are posing a threat and violence towards each other. And this has nothing to do with any particular individual. It has to do with protection as the law prescribes the police should do. And that is precisely what the regulations are spelling out.
When do these new rules take effect?
They have taken effect from the date when we passed them in the House, and the presiding officers henceforth have a right to apply them. Remember, the Constitution prescribes that Parliament must regulate the way parliamentarians behave. We have seen in other jurisdictions where members of Parliament assault each other. In some jurisdictions, even weapons are brought into the House. And these regulations are preempting those things from happening. South Africa is a democratic institution, and therefore we have to behave in a manner that allow other members of the House to express their views without fear or favor.
All right, we'll have to leave it there, unfortunately, Mr. Sizani. Thank you so much for having joined us and for your insight. Just another disclaimer that we had invited from the economic freedom fighters, Mr. Floyd Shivambu, and he is unable to make it this morning. So let's leave it there, at least for now. Take a quick ad break. When we come back, it will be time for your news at 7. So I'll bring you the latest on that. Stay with us.